that I wanted to pass on and pay forward. Uh, what I call breathing for grieving. As I said, it's a counted breath, like that was 1 and 2, 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, and it's a count to 4. Usually it's a count to 10. 2, all the way to 10. And that's the way it usually goes for, especially for meditation. If you want something to focus on, it can be helpful not just to use your breath as an anchor to come back to when a thought has come up and you kind of got swept up in it. Having something to anchor yourself in the present moment in your body, like the breath, like counting the breath, can really be useful in bringing yourself out of the thoughts and allowing them to leave. Breathing for grieving itself, well, let's just like address the grieving part. A lot of the times when we lose people, as we all do, whether they kind of left their body or they kind of left our lives in some way, it can be like a really painful process to go through, and especially if you don't know how to go through it, right? A little backstory: I think the first time I lost a friend was in grade school. This guy chased his dog out in McKinley Park onto like the little lagoon or lake or whatever. It had frozen over. It was strong enough to hold him up to a point. He went out like to chase his dog because his dog got away from him. He ended up drowning there. I didn't really know how to grieve or process that. It wasn't until I got to Headspace and the meditations that I've been doing with that. It's like having a personal trainer. There was one package of like grief where it's like 10 meditations, and you just do the same kind of breathing style. And what it does is to bring up those unprocessed or fresh emotions, depending on how recent your loss has been, and we just meet the emotion with a breath that matches the depth of that emotion, right? As big of an emotion as that can be, that's how deeply we breathe. And it's kind of like a pulling in and then processing out, right? Usually we tense up, poor quality earth. So this is breathing is kind of getting pumping water into those areas, pumping water and air, so that earth, your body, can breathe, kind of open up and relax more, so that you have a better quality of being overall. So the breath itself, again, goes up to 4, 1 or odds on the inhale, and then 2 or evens on the exhale. So we can try that now if you want. You want to find a quiet space, like your room, your home, your apartment, whatever. And instead of putting on like Netflix or The Office or whatever tonight, maybe for like 5 to 10 minutes, you still put it on, but just like after the 5 or 10 minutes. For right now, you can watch this later. You can bookmark it. We can try this out together, right? So you breathe in. Now back to 1. Four. 1, 2, 4. You can keep it going while I just say some things. Again, you can picture the air coming into your belly, around your belly button. It can help to place one hand over your belly button or just below. Or you want to picture that air coming in, down, first filling up from between your legs. Coming up to your belly, into your diaphragm, up into your chest, and over the back of your head. It can kind of look like opening up, opening up, opening up, opening up, and then kind of slowly closing, 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 closing. Almost kind of acting like a wave of kind of starting at the bottom, then working its way up, and slowly coming back down. Can help to picture that person, keep them in mind, hold them in mind, placing attention on that person, that thing that was lost, maybe just moved, whatever it may be, holding it in mind and just kind of breathing into it as best you can. It can help to visualize overcoming it, however that looks to you. It's kind of like an excavating process where you're kind of digging things up alone so that these things aren't simmering on the surface and we're not mindlessly, unconsciously taking them out on the people around us. Depending on how fresh this is, this might be a powerful tool or exercise to go through. And maybe the longer it's been, the more time it's been held under, kind of repressed. The more time you can dedicate to this process. You might not feel anything the first round, you might feel a lot the first round, and again, as deep, as strongly as you feel, that's how deep you want to breathe. Slow and controlled is the name of the game. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And if it's been a while since that thing happened, it may take a few times, and allowing the self, the mind, the body to realize that you are in a safe place where you can deal with this. It may take some time. Why? Because of the brain's neuroplastic nature, right? Neuroplasticity means that the things that we learn, we can unlearn, we can change them, we can mold them, we can shape them. But it's neuroplastic because it's like plastic. It's hard enough to keep its form, but soft enough to yield eventually over time. So if you're trying to change an old habit, a bad habit, trying to forge new ones over the old ones, it can take a while because it's going to take some time, some practice. Like if you're walking through a field, the first time you walk through the grass or the wheat, whatever, may part way a little bit, and the more you walk through it, the more it's going to become a beaten path. So breathing, and especially processing emotions, processing grief, processing anger, any of these things, any of these really strong energies that can kind of have their own gravity, where they pull you in, and suddenly you're saying things, doing things that you know rationally or emotionally they wouldn't be things that you would normally approve of, right? So practicing this breathing, especially the last video of breathing for anger, can be really helpful the more you practice it, right? The more you make that path, this new path that you may be forging, a little more beaten, a little more worn, so that it becomes habitual. And anytime a strong emotion comes up, you more and more reflexively, it becomes second nature to just start breathing and start processing, right? Breathing is the way, is the body's way, the mind's way of processing through, getting that stuff through and out of you as quickly and efficiently as possible. Because the other option would be hold it, tense up, and which is a sign of resistance, a manifestation of resistance, which is a state of denial, essentially, where the emotion comes up and we're used to like pushing it away or pushing it down, which is to say, no, I don't want you here. I don't want to be feeling this. Find that time for yourself, find that space where you can allow yourself to feel it, allow that stuff to come in, and know that it just doesn't have any sort of power over you. The more you breathe, the more you get that. Thoughts, as they pertain to breathing, when a thought comes in, especially unwelcome or intrusive thoughts, breathing them in is accepting their presence, and exhaling them out and returning to the breath is kind of like saying, you know, I acknowledge that you're here, but I either don't have time right now, or it's just like an unwelcome thought, and we're establishing a boundary in that way. Whenever a thought comes up, and maybe you want a better thought, like a higher thought, you can kind of almost kind of bookmark it, is what I found, right? A good, like decent-ish idea comes up, be like, okay, I like that, but I'm gonna let you go. And then when that thought loops back around, because it's kind of like a train of thoughts, if you've ever been on the train, they kind of have like set destinations and set paths. It will come back around, but it will come back around differently. It's almost like saying, this is good, but I know it's like telling yourself, this is good, but I know you can do better. And some like my deepest insights have come around when there's something there, a thought wants to come around, and I just let it go. As kind of good, or as much as I want to entertain that thought, I know if I let it go a little more cleaned up, and a little deeper, it's almost like you send a thought deeper to come back around, to bring you like fresher knowledge or higher knowledge. So keep practicing. Remember, 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, up to 4, and then start back at 1. And then whenever an emotion does come up, you deepen the inhale and have the exhale be slow and controlled. All right, let me know how it goes. Peace.